Aloha, my love, Helena here, and I wanted to share with you today literally the story that I never wanted to share, the story that I have kept so close to my heart for many, many years. And it really feels like it's time that it comes out and I share it with you. And so, before we dive into this story, I want to take a moment to just thank you for finding your way here. Thank you for showing up for yourself, for your heart horse, and or horses and animals and loved ones and the planet. And I want you to know that if you are here, if you have found your way here, that it is not an accident, that we are all connected, that like attracts like. And if you vibe with my content, my energy, and what I share with you, I just want to say, like, warm welcome to the herd. I have been expecting you. So I'm in a bit of a tender place today, just a heads up. However, I really felt called to share again with you the story that I never wanted to share. And while the kind of overall nutshell, not even nutshell, like I have shared this story. If you've been in my world, I've shared this story. And yet there are pieces that I left out that I wasn't ready to share. And today I am choosing to share with you the unfiltered and real, raw story of how I lost my beloved skipper, my first horse, my first love. They say you never forget your first love. You never forget your first love. He is on the cover of that book there with me, the cover of Gawani Pony Boys of Women and Horses. And oh, what a day that was when I discovered that our picture ended up on that book. I can't tell you what a divine sign and synchronicity and message from the universe that felt like, because of my deep, deep, deep love, almost obsession, maybe addiction to horses and this whole magical sacred bond that we share, especially as women, with them. And so before I dive into this story, I feel, as part of the story, I feel like it's important to give you a little bit of like a backdrop information, if you will, to kind of set the stage, so to speak. And so we are going back, let's say circa, I don't know, 2004, 5, in there. And I had attended a holistic veterinary conference where one of the speakers was considered an elder and was teaching on like Native American animal medicine, if you will, which I've always been. I know I have had another life, another timeline or past life as a Native American. So I've always been drawn to their energy and their spirit. Anyway, I attended his webinar or his, his talk, his training, and something that stuck with me that day that he said that I'll never forget, that planted a seed in me, though at the time was a little bit, maybe, like I couldn't fully wrap my arms around it yet, on a body level, on a cellular level, on an energetic level. There was a resonance to some truth to what he said. And what he said was that part of the role of our companion animals is not only to share our energy and take on our energy, but to also take on our illnesses. And again, I mean, I had a background. I mean, I had the Western medicine background. I went to the best vet school in the country, Cornell U. So I had that right brain, logical, scientific side in my mind. And I was always more drawn to the holistic side of things because of my own sensitive constitution and health journey. And so when I discovered that there was a whole world of holistic healing for horses and animals, that is completely where I dove in after graduating from vet school in 94. Anyway, so he made this statement that just like was this seed that was planted into my mind. And again, part of me was like, are you for real? Like, that just felt kind of like out there, right? And yet there was this subtle resonance, this feeling of like, what if that is really true? What if that really is possible? And so fast forward over the years, and I did a video not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, about the different levels that horses share energy, or we share energy with our horses, or vice versa. And by the way, I do believe that this works both ways, because I have stories about like humans, women, taking on the energies of their horse or their animal. And, like I do believe it works both ways, but I'm right now focusing through the lens of horse, okay, and the animals. And so anyway, I had this in the back of my mind. I began to notice over the years, and I shared a bunch of examples in the video around the different ways your horse is sharing your energy. If you didn't see it, I'll drop it down below. Or if you missed it, or you're new here, or whatever, I'll drop it down below. Anyway, so I began to notice this over time with, my clients, and even talking to like vet colleagues. And anyway, so there was this thing, and yet there was also maybe a level of disbelief, a level of, is it really, really true? Is this too woo? Anyway, so that's there in the background. So the other piece I need to tell you in the background is that I've always had a sensitive gut. Okay, I was a colicky baby. I was born 2 months premature, came trailblazing out of my mom's womb, and my whole life have had a very sensitive gut. I'm also a Virgo, LOL, sun. Anyway, so when Skipper came into my life, and we had a couple of like minor colic and one kind of not so minor, maybe impaction type episode, but we managed to get through them. And he came out fine on the other side, and I was so grateful. But then there was that fated day, if you want to call it that, in 2007, a couple of days before Christmas, 3 months after I had already lost my mom around my birthday in August in 2007. And he colicked, like really, really freaking bad colic. We had to trailer him to emergency equine hospital. And thankfully, the vets there I had a relationship with, and they were very open to me not only sitting in on the surgery, but also like doing my thing, whether it was needles or homeopathics or whatever. So we were doing everything together, like East meets West, conventional plus holistic. We threw everything, but the kitchen sink at him, or however that saying goes. Anyway, they opened him up, and he had a strangulated lipoma, which is like a little fatty tumor that had wrapped around his small intestine, and about 8 feet of his small intestine had to be resected, cut out, to restore the proper flow and function. And I mean, I was like a freaking mess, witnessing the surgery falling apart in the room. I mean, I was watching, but I had scrubs on, but anyway. So like not only was the loss of, the loss painful enough to create like the grief and the heartache and all the things, and then 3 months after losing my mom, not only did I end up losing my horse, we did the surgery, we had to watch him the next 24 hours, which were critical, and his pain levels were so insane intense that, like, I mean, they were like full IV pain meds, like nothing was touching him. And we had the choice to either go back in or let him go. And I had a friend at the time who's an animal communicator, and she helped me connect with him. And he had been through enough and decided it was time to let him go, which of course was one of the most difficult, painful decisions I ever had to make. And so anyway, so we lost him. I let him go. But the piece that was like the sword through my heart, the piece that was so painful for me to actually accept or wrap my brain around, and like the realization, that download, thinking back to what that Native American elder had said around our companion animals taking our illnesses into their bodies, and then me with my gut issues. And the other piece I forgot to share was that I had prior to that, a couple years, I had colonoscopy done because I was dealing with all of these crazy symptoms. I had these episodes. They thought it was endometriosis at one point. They thought I ruptured an ovary. I was doing all these things, colonics and diets and you name it. And I had actually had one practitioner who I was doing the colonics with. He had palpated my abdomen, and he said that he felt something in the area of my small intestine and my left ovary, and that felt like he thought it might be a fibroid. Anyway, the colonoscopy didn't show anything. I had ultrasounds. At one point, there was a small fibroid, which seemed to resolve itself. The only thing they found on the colonoscopy was a slight narrowing of my small intestine, and they said everything else looked normal. So, when it hit me, like the aftershock of the whole thing, it hit me what I lost him from or to, and the my own health issues and struggles with my gut. It just was It was so painful. And I went through all of this guilt and shame and feeling like I was the one who should have, died. I was his guardian. I was his horse mom. I was a vet, like all these things, like I was supposed to save him. Right. And it was so hard for me to like lose him in that way and process it, if you can imagine. And the whole experience literally like dissolved in a way my identity, my sense of self, my sense of confidence, my self-worth, because up until that point all of that was tied up in me being this like rock star renegade vet who had this thriving practice, who was like booked out, a month or two at a time, and very successfully helping all of these horses. And while I specialized in holistic and wellness and performance, so I didn't do like emergency or colic or any kind of that kind of medicine, because that was my preference, my niche, right? My specialty. And um anyway, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to just share with you, like give you the background around why this was like so incredibly like mind-blowing, heart-wrenching, like pull, my heart out of my chest experience. And after going through that, and of course it sent me on a downward spiral because my health at that time was already, a mess. I'd been dealing with anxiety and chronic fatigue. I had panic attacks. They had diagnosed me with early onset Addison's. I was having all these GI episodes. Like I was a freaking hot mess. And the the loss really, again, set me on like a dark night of the soul, if you will. And so that was my initiation into the beyond, and back. And I began exploring mediums and all sorts of energy work, and just wanted so badly to connect with him on the other side and to understand what happened and why this happened, and all of it. And so fast forward, fast forward, like I will never forget the gift he gave me of illuminating on such a visceral level the depth of the horse human connection, the depth of the energy, and even the physiology, the biology that we can share. And while I'm not saying that this is obviously not in every case, and even when I talked about it in my video, every situation is going to be different. And again, sometimes it can be the human taking on the energies. And so, regardless, that gift, that lesson of what I want to call divine equine healing or equine loving mirrors, of horses and their human soulmates. I actually started a book with that very title, and I don't know why I never finished it. Anyway, maybe it's time for that too. But I just felt really called to share that story to let you know that, again, the depth of the energy that we can share with our heart horses, and like the lesson and the gifts, like for me to heal my sense of self, my value, my identity, um, my calling, all the things, which has been, an ongoing, like ever evolving journey over the years. And of course, it first started out with my health, which that has been in so many ways like the path, the portal to me uncovering and discovering my calling and my soul's work, and which is why I'm here today sharing this message with you. And so I just hope that you can take away from this really raw and open, kind of vulnerable share, because again, while I've shared about his loss in the past, the other piece has been kind of sacred. And I'll be honest too, it's taken a long time for me to really like have the compassion and the forgiveness of myself, like for myself, because I was blaming myself for not being a good enough vet, good enough guardian, good enough, horse mom to save him, right? I had this savior complex going on. And while I know in my brain, in my mind, we did absolutely everything under the sun that we possibly could to save him, and to not let all of that go in vain, to bring that lesson forward to hopefully help other horses and their human soulmates who are sharing energy at whatever level in whatever way. And this is why I have been so strongly nudged at this time to shed light on this topic and um, offer my EPONA'S GOLD container to help with this process of exploring the shared energy, of cleaning up your side of the street first as the human guardian, right? And also harnessing, if you will, tapping into that energetic connection to help both of you heal, to help each other heal, right? And so, anyway, so that's what I have for you today. I want to thank you for listening, for witnessing me, and I truly hope that if you have a heart horse in your life, that you are really wanting to explore deeper your shared energies and how you can help each other heal on all levels. Like, this was an extreme dramatic example, which again, there was part of me hesitate to really share so publicly, but I just felt called to do so. And I finally feel like I was in a place, with my heart to feel aligned sharing it, if you will. So, yeah. So I think that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed today's kind of story time, if you will, and are you receiving value, thank you in advance for liking, subscribing, doing all the things with the buttons, sharing the love. It would mean the world to me. And I can't do my mission without you, which is at the end of the day to really empower my sister horse lovers to be the best humans and guardians for their horses, to show up as the woman they came here to be, the world, as well as your horses and your loved ones, are waiting from the inside out. Like this inner work, which can sometimes feel never ending. Like I totally get it. I am an old soul, not my first rodeo. Like I get it. And it can sometimes get to a place where like enough is enough. And I've done videos on that. And I am at this place where like the healing to fix, I'm done with that. I'm over that. And I'm still always growing and always wanting to be the best version of myself, the healthiest, happiest, most radiant, relaxed, and ready to ride fire horse queen that I can be. And so, if you are ready to be a flame rider, if you are ready to join me in the fire horse journey this year, I hope you will stay tuned again and subscribe to the channel if you want to go deeper. Information will be down below on how you can contact me around the EPONA'S Gold Mastermind. And otherwise, I will see you next time. Ciao for now. May the force of horse be with you. Namaste. Bye.